Hello Drag Race fans, welcome into the very first of a series of videos I'm going to be doing every couple of weeks. I'm thinking maybe every two, where I'm going to be talking about my absolute favorite outfits and runways from each season of RuPaul's Drag Race. Only the main seasons plus All Stars. The only season I'm not going to be doing is season 1, and that's because I couldn't really find a lot of high definition images of the outfits that I wanted to talk about. And on top of it, a lot of the outfits from season 1 are not super wow moments, which is nothing about these particular queens, is just the challenges that they got didn't really lend themselves to what we know to be of Drag Race. Now, that being said, Nina pretty much was my entire list of favorites, with a smattering of some from BB. But for the most part, there weren't really a lot of wow moments. So we're going to be starting with season 2, and now I will kind of just address the elephant in the room. This is not the most fashionable season, kind of for the same reasons that season 1 is not super fashionable, right? Because there were not really a lot of great runway prompts, and I don't really think the show knew quite what it was doing at the time. And I really feel like in this particular era of the show, it was who's got the best mall dress. So there are not really a lot of wow moments here either. That being said, there are some standouts, and I was able to find my favorite 10. I'm excited to get into this. I hope you enjoy this series that I'm going to be doing, again, probably every 2 weeks. So let's jump right on into it, starting with my number 10 outfit, which I do want to say I got all these images from the Drag Race Wiki, so credit to them, and I am using Canva for this presentation, so keep that in mind. In the number 10 spot is Tyra Sanchez from the Diva Awards. Now, what I really appreciated about this outfit, one, is Tyra's confidence. This was one of those really kind of odd challenges, in my opinion. I didn't quite like all the runway prompts, but Tyra obliterated every single one of them with such poise and elegance, and I really love this look. I love the ruffles around the neck. This is such a super high fashion moment, even though this is very solidly locked in a specific era of fashion, a very specific era of what drag aesthetics were at this time. It wasn't really about all like the big flashy things that we see now. Yes, there were some flashy points of drag back then. You could see a lot of queens around this time who were sort of doing that. You could see that a lot with Raven doing sort of a high fashion California drag. What I think Tyra is doing is something that's super accessible, and Tyra did this thing where it went beyond drag. It went to a place of what RuPaul was doing, but maybe without the budget quite there. So Tyra was really, I think, ahead of the game, and despite some of her actions after the show, I do think that her win was completely valid. No matter how I perceived her actions on the show, this was a solid look from her. In the number 9 spot is one of my favorite looks probably across the entire franchise, and this is Morgan McMichaels in the Gone with the Window challenge. I think about this look kind of all the time, this super high fashion warrior that has this really intricate looking hair. I love this silhouette on Morgan with this really big hair at the top, but then super sleek on the sides. I think it suits her face because she's got this really angular, sharp face, and her features lend to some extra length. I think it really accentuates how nice her chin and jaw are for a drag performer. Her face just suits well for makeup, in my opinion. But I love this look for a lot of different reasons. Again, we've got a ruffle right around the neck, and that has nothing to do with it, I promise, but I do really like that ruffle. I think this fabric choice was really smart. I love the use of the hardware still incorporated in this. You've got this belt moment that's happening using the top of the curtain, and then these intricate panels that are done right down the side that are these perfectly clean lines that sort of taper off just slightly down at the bottom. Overall, really good look. And then the circular hardware that's right in the middle and then incorporate it into the earrings too. That's the most genius part of this, is that Morgan wasn't just thinking, how can I make a look? It's how can I also accessorize this too? You even see these cuffs that she's got on that are also part of the fabric. It's just a very smart look, and it goes to show that you can do a drag race design challenge without needing to throw everything at your outfit. It doesn't have to be a big mess of all the materials. It could just be a really clean silhouette, and this sticks out and has longevity throughout all these seasons later. I still think about how strong this look was. In the number 8 spot is Raven in the Country Queens episode. Now, I gotta talk about the very obvious that this is before Raven went into dark mode. This is what her skin tone normally looks like, and we're all aware. I think we should be very plainly aware that this is what she normally looks like, not when she's borrowing RuPaul's makeup. What I think is fascinating about Raven as an entity is that her makeup has always been really solid, but it's evolved so fiercely over time. What her face shape is now, with the lips that she does, the sort of nose highlight, it's very subtle, but you can see it in here in this makeup. You can see it in the eyebrows. Her eyes are all kind of similar to what she's doing now. It's just been refined over the years and taken inspiration from maybe some other queens. She's inspired herself with certain looks she's done, and it's just really gotten more elevated over the years. But what I love about Raven's look is that she can look like a 48-year-old chain smoker who works in some Denny's out in the middle of like a dirt road in Alabama or something, because that's what this makeup and hair combo is giving, which is perfect for the assignment. Then you've got another ruffle. I swear this is all coincidental. I might have a thing for ruffles, and this might be my coming out journey of talking about how I like ruffles on an outfit. But it's got a nice ruffle sleeve moment. I love this high-waisted short with these big buttons. There's something very modern about those, even for this time. With this tiny little itty-bitty statement jewelry necklace that someone probably was selling for dirt cheap at one of those random like drag sales where they're like, I bought this from the Claire's, but I don't need it anymore, so I'm going to sell it. And Raven was like, that's gorgeous. I'm going to take it. The styling overall is really nice. It's super simple. It very much gives what the challenge is supposed to be. And for this era, this is a strong look. And I'm keeping those in mind. I'm not trying to think like what would pass now. I'm trying to think what was good at the time. And this was one of the strongest of the season. Not to mention the fact that it's just a good silhouette for a country queen. You either are going to go super camp or you're going to go super literal. And Raven found a place that kind of got right in the middle of this, because this hair is camp. It's totally camp. In the number 7 spot is Jessica Wilde in the Gone with the Window challenge. And again, what I appreciate about this that Jessica did that's similar to what Morgan did is that she was thinking about the whole look, the accessorization of the whole thing. You see the hooks that normally are sitting on the curtain that are incorporated into the earring. Those were probably like plastics. They probably didn't weigh anything, but look so good glued together like this. It's really modern for this era. The makeup is lovely. I love a glitter lip. I'm obsessed with a glitter lip. This fried, chunky blonde hair that's terrible looks somehow so good on her. Then you've got this really clean, crisp bathing suit silhouette with some floral patterns that are on it. And it's styled in a really nice way that makes it stand out amongst a lot of the other ones. This fabric is not particularly super exciting. It's kind of dull looking, but what Jessica was able to do with it, especially using the pieces that already existed on this probably fabric, I'm assuming that those golden sun shapes that are right in the middle of the flowers. I'm assuming that was probably something on the ends of the curtain rod that she incorporated into this. And that's genius. Genius. I love the asymmetry of it with the one flower on the top right, the other flower right on the hip. Really lovely ideas. It's super simple. Doesn't need to be crazy extravagant. It's just nice. In the number 9 spot is Tyra in Once Upon a Queen. This particular challenge, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this was one of the first reveals that we had ever gotten on the runway, besides Chanel revealing her true authentic self by allowing her breastplate and her wig to fall off, giving us a authenticity reveal. This was the first time that we ever really got like a reveal moment, because I remember the top drops down into the skirt, then she took out something and attached them to the sleeves. There was something else she added to this, and I can't remember at this exact moment what it was, but this was a big deal for this season. No one was really doing reveals. This was before we got Sasha Velour giving us the ultimate reveal. This was before reveals were expected on Drag Race. This was before the meta of understanding what Drag Race is. And again, Tyra was always so ahead of the game, even if this is a simple silhouette. It's really clean. It's crisp. It's got nice details to it with this feather earring that's coming off and these very simple, like, chinchilla wrist cuffs that are so lovely. This very tiny little this very tiny little ring that's sitting on her finger. Oh, it's a crisp look. It's crisp and it's clean and it's so lovely to look at. And then this hair being so geometrical. It's very nice and lovely on her. And again, I think really showcases why Tyra won this season, because I think at the time it wasn't really about being the funniest or the most bombastic. It was about having nice looks that worked and fit the challenge, and also doing decently at it. It was such a weird, interesting time for Drag Race, and Tyra was ahead of the game. So now going into the number 5 spot is Raven again. This is almost entirely a Raven and Tyra top 10 because they were the only ones that were giving it. And there's a reason why they ended up at the end. This look is incredible. This is from Snatch Game, and thank God that Raven pulled this out because she easily should have been in the bottom, maybe instead of Sonique for her dull Paris performance. But then this came out on the runway, and you look at this fabric that almost looks like upholstery or like a wallpaper or something. It's such a odd floral pattern with this paisley print on the leaves and on the petals, but somehow it's extremely beautiful with this gorgeous tomato red underneath it all, sort of a flamenco style. Then you got a corset over it. I think this put the drag world into a tailspin of wearing corsets over things, and you can even still see girls coming out with corsets over stuff. I remember seeing this for the first time being a young baby gay to Drag Race and immediately incorporating corsets over things into every single one of my looks. And you can still see Raven's influence to this day of people taking corsets, putting it over, because it sort of breaks up all the colors and it gives you a focal point. I wish that this was just maybe a tinier corset, that it was something that was maybe a quarter of this size that it is now, but it's still really lovely. Then you've got this tiny little itty bitty Kris Jenner hair, these delicate little earrings, this big chunky jewelry that she's wearing on her wrist. Raven's always styled well. Raven understands the prompt and the assignment, and this is a good look. Moving into the number 4 spot is Raven yet again in more ruffles. I really do think that I've got a ruffle thing. This is from the Here Comes the Bride challenge. And in my opinion, Raven should have won this challenge because of these pops of teal and turquoise that were present throughout this entire dress. So the silhouette is nice. You can see where she's taken all of these details and pulled them up. And I really like that rouging of a skirt. I like when you bunch it all up and create this really big, almost medieval princess, almost saloon-like silhouette at the bottom. But then she did something really smart and stuck these blue turquoise ribbons into all these little divots, probably to accomplish a couple things. One, to accomplish hiding maybe the seam lines of where things had to be sewn in to hold it all up in that shape. But two, it also gives you a little pop of color on all of this white. She's incorporated this exact same pop of color in the shoes, which she probably already had this ribbon fabric that she found, or maybe it was this blue fabric that's on her head. I can't really tell. Maybe this was present in the workroom and was a part of a fabric wall that they could use, and she just incorporated that in. It's brilliant. This hair is really nice. And I mentioned earlier that Raven looked like a 48-year-old diner girl. Here she looks, it's incredible. She looks like a 19-year-old chain smoker who just left her small town to get married to her high school sweetheart. They just graduated at 19 and they're about to dip, fly off to Memphis or something and change their last name and never be seen from again. Raven's got this really incredible way of morphing her entire being into whatever character she's playing. And I feel like this character really pops on the runway too. On top of it just being a good look. And I stick by that. In my opinion, Raven probably should have won this challenge. Going into the number 3 spot is, you guessed it, Tyra in the Star Bootylicious challenge. Okay, we got to talk about the hip and the boobs of the situation here. This was from episode 2, I believe, and the girls were not featuring Tyra because she had immunity. Maybe it was episode 3. She had immunity, she wasn't doing anything, and she just sat back and let everybody else kind of flop, knowing that she didn't have to worry about going home. And you can tell that she's feeling her look, and she's like, I'm going to show you why I sat back and did nothing, because I look damn good. This hair is immaculate with this big sort of poof in the front that's all gathered, but you can't see where any of the hair is coming from or where it's going. It's just this perfect set, this pillow of hair that's at the front. Then it's really sleek and pulled back on the sides to the top. Very clean makeup with this extremely dramatic shimmer that's right underneath the eyes going into this intense wing. And then you've got these teardrop earrings that go straight on down to the necklace, and you just get these lines coming straight down like drops all the way down. That's what makes it super fabulous, super chic looking. And then you've got all these curves. Mama. Again, Ms. Tyra is telling you why she won this season and why she deserved to win it. No matter how we feel about her afterwards, if anyone has any feelings about her, Tyra deserved the win. Objectively, I can look back and be like, yeah, you deserved it. I think that this is like one of the best looks I've ever seen in my life. Absolutely not. But for the time, God, this is good. In comparison to everyone else, you look at what everyone else is doing and they're all wearing like wet seal. You look at Tatiana in particular, who's wearing Ross, cross-dress for less. Like, Tyra was really giving you glamour and elegance in a way that was both accessible to the real world that you might see a real model or a real actress on a red carpet wearing, but that was also easily transferable into the club. Excellent look. All right, in the number 2 spot, you guessed it, it's also Tyra. I believe Rue called this the ice green dress. I don't see green in here except in some kind of like longer sequins that are in here. The fabric itself looks pearlescent, but it could have been a different color underneath regular lights, and maybe with a real HD camera you could have actually seen this, but in that, I don't know, the sausage gravy filter that they were putting on Drag Race at the time, I feel like this doesn't really translate as ice green, but it's beautiful. I love this big whopped hair to the side. I love a whop. I'm a big fan of it. It's somehow very Latina, and this feels like something you might see a Latina actress rocking on a red carpet now. The silhouette is really nice. I love the attention to detail here with pointing out the shoulders. Tyra's got great shoulders in this shot. The earring is really nice, and it's a big statement piece, and it's got this iridescence that you can see all throughout the entire outfit as well. The different shapes of the beadwork and the stonework that's happening all really highlight how glamorous this outfit is. And again, Tyra showing you why she deserved to win this season. The Diva Awards was, again, a weird challenge, but Tyra killed it. So now we move to the #1 spot, and some honorable mentions. Of course, I really love a lot of what Pandora did. It was a super camp. That black and white jailhouse thing that Tatiana wore was so silly and low budget, but I loved it. But going into the #1 spot, my absolute favorite look of the entire season belongs to, you guessed it, Raven, at the grand finale. I love this look. It was so good that it was featured twice on Drag Race. If I'm not mistaken, this is the only outfit that has ever been on the runway twice in 2 different seasons. This was worn by Raven here, and then again by Naomi during the black and white runway in season 8. And it was immaculate then still. This look is so good for a lot of reasons, but let's talk about it as a grand finale piece, because I think you would look at this and say, this is a statement piece. I don't know what the statement is, but I can tell that this is a statement piece. This is maybe something you do a lot, this silhouette that is really kind of skimpy. It's short. It gives you a lot of leg. It gives you a lot of breast, a lot of arm, a lot of shoulder, neck. All of this is really highlighted, but then you get this nice curvy silhouette right in the middle with this corset. And again, more ruffles. I know. Please don't drag me in the comments. But then you got this nice shiny boot at the bottom of all of this. These actually thigh-high boots. This is a thigh-high boot. A lot of the girls want to come on Drag Race and be like, I'm wearing thigh highs, and it barely goes underneath their kneecaps. That's not a thigh-high boot. That's a knee boot. This is a thigh-high boot because it's touching her thighs. It's gorgeous. The heel on it is so thin, and boots like this around that time, you couldn't necessarily find them like in this style unless you went to like, you know, a sex worker store in the middle of West Hollywood, and those were kind of hard to find. So these are just beautiful boots. Then we got this, again, sleek Kris Jenner hair, which looks a lot like what she put on her makeover a couple episodes ago. That's fine. It's nice hair. And then this really nice teardrop earring with this super smoky eye look. Gorgeous red and black lip. Raven really showing you that she deserved to be in top 2 this season and why she deserved that. Raven was always serving on the runway along with Tyra. And that's why the two of them ultimately were pretty much dominating this, with the exception of a rare Jessica Wilde that showed up. And so that is my ranking of all of season 2 of RuPaul's Drag Race fashions. Who are your favorites? If your favorite didn't get in here, please don't drag me. These are my favorites. You can have yours, and that's okay. I loved these. These were my favorite looks, and I'm excited to jump into season 3. I think that season is really where a lot of fashion started to happen. So tune in a couple of weeks, probably 2. Check out those then. Goodbye. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to click that like button. And if you want to see more, hit subscribe. Goodbye.